We want to simplify the square root of 8. When you simplify a radical term, you must be able to divide out a perfect square from the number that's under the radical sign. Your perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and so on. And the easiest way to figure out if you can simplify this is to look at the number here and find that somewhere on the list after you divide it by 2. So you have 8. If I divide 8 by 2, I'll come up with a 4. So the only possibilities I could divide out would be 4. 1 is never going to be used, so we don't even need to write that. 4 is a perfect square, and you can divide it into 8. So if that's the case, you'll have square root of 4 times square root of 2, which would give you the square root of 8. And then to simplify it, since you used a perfect square under the radical sign, you can simply rewrite it as the square root of 4 being 2. And then you keep the square root of 2. This is the simplified version of this. You will know that you did not go far enough when you ever get a number under here that is still divisible by a perfect square. Of course, 2 is not divisible by any of these perfect squares. So this is it. This one is the square root of 18. Remember, the perfect squares are 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, and on out. Half of 18 is 9. So find 9. Where would 9 not go over here? And there it is. So these are your possibilities, 9 and 4. You always want the highest perfect square that goes into the number under the square root sign. Does 9 divide into it evenly? Yes. So what would I multiply 9 by to get 18? So that's what we put there. What is the square root of 9?
3.
So 3 square root of 2 is your simplified version of this. This one is the square root of 32. Perfect squares are 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, and on out. If I divide 32 by 2, what is that? 16. So here's where it shows up in the list. These on down would be possibilities. But start with the highest one first. 16, will it go into 32? Yes. 16 times what is 32? 2. The square root of 16 is 4. 4 square root of 2 is the simplified version of that. We want to simplify 4 square root of 12. Your perfect squares are 4, 9, 16, 25, and on out. You're going to leave the 4 where it's at. But what's half of 12? 6. So 6 is between 4 and 9. So we really only have one option if it works. Does 4 go into 12? So we have 4, and 4 times what is 12? 3. So now you have to go back and simplify. Keep the 4. The square root of 4 is 2. And then you'll have 4 times 2 to get an 8. So 8 square root of 3 is the simplified version of this. Let's simplify 3 square root of 27. We have 4, 9, 16, 25 as perfect squares and on out. Half of 27 is 13 and a half. 13 and a half falls between what numbers over here?
9 and 16.
9 and 16. Does 9 go into 27?
Yes.
Yeah, so we can have 3 square root of 9 times square root of what? 3. So the square root of 9 is 3. And 3 times 3 is 9. 9 square root of 3 is the simplified version of that. Let's simplify 5 square root of 48. What is the highest perfect square that could come out of 48? 16. So that is the highest one right off the bat. 16 times what is 48?
3.
3. So keep your 5 and find the square root of 16 to be 4. 5 times 4 is 20. So 20 square root of 3 is the simplified version. Now keep in mind, if you had gone this route, square root of 4, square root of 12, you would end up with 5 square root of 2, which is a 10, but notice that you can take a 4 out of the 12. So you would have ended up with radical 4, radical 3, and 10 times 2 would be a 20. Just more work. Let's simplify 3 square root of 20 over 2. What is the highest perfect square that goes into 20?
4.
4, yeah. So we'll break it up as 4 and what?
5.
5. The square root of 4 is 2. And then we will end up with 6 square root of 5 over 2. What's wrong with this simplified version?
6 over 2.
6 over 2 can be simplified to what?
3.
So 3 square root of 5 is it. That is your final answer. Do not leave anything unreduced.
So you can reduce that.
If you have an answer that is 4 square root of 10 over 2, the wrong way to simplify it would be to do this. 2 square root of 5. You cannot do that because this over this cannot be broken up. That's reason number 1. Reason number 2 is look at a different problem than this. What if it wasn't square root of 10? What if it were 4 times 8 and then you had it over 2? Can you divide 2 into 4 and also 2 into 8? No, because 32 over 2 is 16. And if I divided 4 by 2 to get a 2 and then also 8 by 2 to get a 4, I end up with an answer of 8, and that's not right. You can only cancel out a pair at a time. 2 square root of 27 over 9. What's the highest perfect square that comes out of 27? 9. So we'll have square root of 9 times square root of 3. Simplify the square root of 9 to get 3. And then when you multiply together, you get 6 square root of 3 over 9. How can I simplify 6 over 9? Yeah, 2 over 3. Because, I was ready to write a 9 there, because if you divide this by 3 and this by 3, you're left with 2 and 3. This is the simplified version of this. The next one is 5 square root of 80 over 12. What is the highest perfect square that comes out of 80?
6. 36. No. 36 is 49.
Half of 80 is 40, so it could be 36 and on down, so 36 won't go into it. 25. 16 is the right one, yeah. So 5 square root of 16 times square root of what?
5.
5, yeah. 16 times 5 is 80. So simplify the square root of 16 to get 4, and then multiply the 5 and the 4 together to get 20. So 4 divided into, and I'm picking 4 because 4 is the highest number that comes out of both 20 and 12. We are reducing this fraction here. 4 into 20 5 times, and into 12 3 times. 5 square root of 5 over 3. To simplify this, we need the highest perfect square that comes out of 24, and that's going to be 4. 4 times 6 is 24. The square root of 4 is 2, and when you multiply it with the 5, you get a 10. 10 square root of 6 over 2 can be simplified to 5 square root of 6. The highest perfect square that comes out of 96 is 16. 16 times 6 is 96. The square root of 16 is 4. 7 times 4 is 28. And you can reduce the 28 over 2 to get 14 square root of 6 altogether. The highest perfect square that comes out of 99 is going to be 9. So square root of 9, square root of 11. And on the bottom you have 3. Square root of 9 is 3. On the bottom, you still have a 3. Instead of multiplying together and then simplifying, you can just cancel out 3's there and come up with 10 square root of 11.